Shelley Benthal, inviting you to join me now for another walking tour of Greenville as we take a closer look at art in public places. Traveling north from the heart of downtown, unique public art has been integrated into various public places. We're headed now to Stone Avenue. Come on! Corner of Main and Stone is a piece called Freedom by an artist who taught sculpture at Clemson University for 30 years. John Acorn created this one in the early 60s for the entrance to the Greenville County Museum of Art, then located at the Gassaway Mansion. It's made of welded brass and bronze. Mr. Acorn often creates nature-themed art. This piece, of course, resembles a tree with trunk, branches, and roots, all visible in the finished product. Where Stone Avenue meets Elizabeth Street, you'll find this bright yellow sculpture titled Aria. It's a still sculpture created by Michael Neal Jacobson and sponsored by the Greenville Arts and Public Places Commission. It looks like a tumbling ribbon, and some people think it looks like soft serve ice cream, but the title is actually an opera term. An aria is an accompanied elaborate melody sung by a single voice. So now you know, and with that, we're off to Washington Street. If you walk along West Washington Street, you'll discover the next two stops on our tour. These are one-dimensional, life-size steel art silhouettes. John Pendarvis, a native South Carolinian, created the art pieces. The next stop on our tour is, appropriately enough, the Greenville County Museum of Art for a piece titled Mountain Flight. It was placed right in front of the museum when the museum first opened and remains there today. Crafted by Richard Hunt, Mountain Flight was a gift from Mr. and Mrs. Russell Graham in 1978. Mr. Hunt created this piece out of welded Corten steel. For our final stop on today's tour, we're visiting a nationally recognized educator by the name of Pete Hollis. Dr. Pete Hollis was the superintendent at the former Parker School District.
Well, Dr. Hollis was a great humanitarian. He came to Greenville in the early 1900s and to work as assistant athletic director at Monaghan Mill. He went to a camp up in New York as part of his training to be the director of the YMCA at Monaghan. In that training, he met some people, the guy from England who started Boy Scouts. He saw this round ball going through hoops, basketball, and so he brought those two things back to Greenville. He brought the first basketball that he bought in New York City. He brought it to Greenville, and the first basketball games in South Carolina were played here in Greenville in the textile mills. And then he started the first Boy Scout troop, and the first Y, I believe, in Greenville was started at Monaghan. He always was looking for new things that would attract and keep people interested, and a diversion from their daily work, but something that they would enjoy. Each mill had its own school, elementary school that went through 7th grade. Most people ended their education at the end of 7th grade. They would have been about 14, so it was time for them to go to work in the mill. So unless they wanted to go on to school, they could go to Greenville High, but they'd have to pay a tuition and pay a daily rate for transportation, 15 cents or something like that. But that was cost prohibitive to many of the mill people. Some of them were able to work that out and go to Greenville High. So all of these mill owners got together, decided to establish a high school for the children who were going through these elementary grades. And so they established Parker School District, and they asked Dr. Hollis to be the superintendent. He made sure that it was a top-notch school. He was a facilitator. His favorite was saying it was, "We can do it. We can do it." Didn't matter what the project was or how impossible it might have seemed, "We can do it," were the words he used.
The statue stands larger than life at 8 feet tall and resides in the Pete Hollis Sculpture Garden on the corner of Pete Hollis Boulevard and Rutherford Street.
Parker graduates and community people came together and wanted to recognize Dr. Hollis for all the things that he had done. And so it was eventually decided that a statue would be the best thing. And with a garden around it if possible, and the city of Greenville was kind enough to give this group of people that triangle, and it's a great location. The statue itself came from a picture of Dr. Hollis. The steps and the columns replicate the old Parker High School steps and columns.
I'm now walking on the Pete Hollis Walk of Fame. It leads all the way to the statue.
People wanted to be a part of it. We needed to raise money, so we sold brick pavers. Dale Perry and I worked on selling those pavers, and I think we sold about $50,000 worth of marked brick.
The statue is protected by a retaining wall of ceramic tiles created by art students at the Fine Arts Center and the Governor's School.
They're beautiful tiles, and I think add a great touch to that statue, but also speak to Dr. Hollis's interest in art. He loved art, and he loved creative expression, and he encouraged this in the schools. Art became a problem-solving technique. It wasn't just throwing paint on paper, but it was a process through which children learned. After he retired, he and Virginia Aldrich, he came up with the idea of the singing Christmas tree. And he and Virginia Aldrich carried that out, and it went on for years here. He was always interested in the art, so that's very important about him. He was not a man that was, trying to seek glory or anything, and he'd probably say, well, why didn't you just give that money to some children who might need it? Because he was not a vain person. He was a very humble man. Very much a power force, but not one that really wanted to be recognized that much. But he deserves it.
That's all the time we have for today. I'm Shelley Benthal, and thanks for joining me on another walking tour of Greenville's art and public places. Hi, I'm Shelley Benthal, inviting you to join me now for another walking. Here at the corner of Main and Stone is a piece called Freedom by an artist, sorry, I said artist, really weird, artist, where Stone Avenue meets Elizabeth Street. You will find, I couldn't remember if it was street or not. Okay, sorry. The next stop on our tour is appropriately enough the Greenville County Museum. Hi, I'm Shelley Benthal, inviting you to join me now for a closer look. The next stop on our tour is appropriately enough the Greenville County Museum of Art. Hey. Idea.